Listen, I have a question. Who put out that horrible, terrible, bad rumor that y'all broke up? Who did that?
Your sister.
Toni Braxton.
Right. I don't believe they got married. I think that's a lie. The reason why I think it's a lie because Stella not gonna do nothing without Slim being there or Slim knowing something about it.
Toni Braxton just shattered the silence around all those wild Birdman and Cash Money rumors, and it's shaking the internet. Birdman's empire, once seen as untouchable, is now being called out for dark, death ritual whispers that won't die down. And now folks are saying Birdman poisoned his own energy with that same darkness, all while Toni tried to pull him back. For years, people called their relationship the strangest kind of fairy tale. Toni, a soulful legend, and Birdman, a street-made mogul. But behind the diamonds and jet life hid a power that felt straight up dangerous. Toni didn't leave because the love faded. She left because she saw what that kind of power does when it turns cold. That secret marriage wasn't just gossip, it was real. Paperwork hit the internet, denials followed fast, and 2 weeks later the whole thing blew apart. Toni jumped online, called it all cap, and wiped away every trace like she was breaking free from a curse. And those Cash Money rumors, they're only getting louder. Talk of strange late night meetings and shady choices behind closed doors, stuff even artists like Juvenile been hinting at for years. It's getting real out here.
You know what was weird to me when I got the Cash Money? It was the weirdest thing. I know they had all these artists on the label.
Right.
So I get to the label and then all of a sudden, they let all the artists go, all the other artists go.
Toni came face to face with the darkest side of Birdman's world and instantly knew this battle was different. She'd already survived lupus, heart surgery, and brushes with death, but what she saw this time wasn't physical, it was spiritual. Toni backed away fast, wiped her social media clean, and threw all her focus back into music and staying alive, not just famous. Meanwhile, Birdman's world started crumbling right before our eyes. Cameras caught him knocked out on stage, looking drained and off balance. Fans said he looked like he'd been poisoned by his own habits. The internet went crazy, calling him the Black Joe Biden, saying he was losing touch and fading out. Ever since that Hot Boys reunion tour, clips kept flooding social media. Birdman under bright lights, eyes half shut, slurring mid-sentence while the crowd whispered in confusion. Some swore it looked like seizures, others said relapse. But either way, it went viral in seconds. Still, Birdman's circle rushed to calm the storm. BG jumped online laughing, saying Birdman wasn't high, just struggling to read the teleprompter. "Man, that boy all business," he told reporters, brushing it off like nothing serious. That's the line they keep repeating. No relapse, no breakdown, just exhaustion and bad timing. But people aren't buying it. And maybe the excuses are true, or maybe it's something darker coming back to collect its dues. Because that image of Birdman nodding off under the spotlight while the beat keeps playing, it haunts people, especially when you think about how many names tied to that empire already fell. Artists who lost their spark, voices that vanished, and careers that never came back once they left that circle. Let's be real, Toni didn't just leave a man, she escaped a machine that was starting to destroy itself. Birdman's name been tangled with ritual talk for years, but people get it twisted. When they say Cash Money rituals, they're not talking candles and dark rooms. The real rituals were power, loyalty, and control. From the outside, Cash Money looked like a flashy label, but inside, it moved like a private brotherhood. Every new artist had to earn their way in, proving loyalty before they could rock that logo chain. And once you start connecting the dots, the kiss on the lips, the daddy nickname, the matching tattoos, it all starts to look like more than random antics. Those were pledges, not playtime. You didn't just sign a contract. You entered a system where rules ruled you. Birdman turned routine into ritual, showing off cars, stacking money, throwing out chains like trophies. But behind every shiny gift was a reminder, this came from me. Remember who's in charge. That was loyalty on display, and silence was the final rule. The ones who dared to speak up inside that empire, they vanished from the spotlight fast. UNLV faded out quietly, and whispers say Kilo G might have been taken out after crossing the wrong people. Nothing was proven, but the streets still talk. It wasn't until Lil Wayne started pushing back that the cracks in that so-called family image started showing. and suddenly the magic act looked more like manipulation. Online, people love spinning cash money ritual stories like it's some deep occult mystery, but the truth is colder than that. Birdman's rituals were made of power moves, not spells, but control. The sacrifices weren't goats or fire, they were freedom, independence, and identity. He broke artists down and rebuilt them under his own rules. That's exactly the world Toni walked into. She saw how the room froze the second Birdman entered, like everyone was scared to breathe wrong around him. To her, that didn't feel like love, it felt like a warning. Worship was the rule, and Toni wasn't built to bow down. After everything she survived, she wasn't about to hand over her peace for power. So she broke the pattern the only way she could, by walking out for good. And the moment she did, Birdman's whole aura started collapsing. Their short-lived secret marriage, the one the world thought was long over, was really just the first chapter of his downfall. They might have gone public in 2016, but when they finally tied the knot last year, the honeymoon died before it even began. Just 2 days after the secret ceremony, Toni filed for divorce, calling it an irretrievably broken marriage. She later pulled the petition back in January 2025, but by mid-year, when both wiped their socials clean, everyone knew the breakup was real. Then Birdman jumped online, firing shots. He accused Toni of cashing in, called her a gold digger, and even claimed she pawned her engagement ring while pushing for $160 million payout. Once those claims hit gossip blogs and live reaction streams, it exploded like gasoline on fire. The internet split into camps. R&B fans siding with Toni, and Birdman loyalists defending their boss. Outside hip-hop, mainstream outlets painted him as manipulative, while southern rap circles said he was just standing on business, showing his boss energy like always. Money-wise, Birdman stayed safe since the divorce case got tossed, but the damage was done. Toni had the public's sympathy early on, until talk about that $160 million claim and the missing $5 million ring brought up her past bankruptcies again.
Talk about the guy that don't pay the producers to the last minute. Let me stop. I love Birdman.
Suddenly, brand sponsors started hesitating. Still, the scandal sparked new life into her old catalog. Streams shot up, and her documentary about women reclaiming financial freedom started trending again. But even Cash Money couldn't dodge the fallout. Insiders say the drama exposed major cracks. Birdman's grip on legacy artists weakened, mid-tier rappers started distancing themselves, and even producers under Lil Wayne's Young Money imprint began whispering about jumping ship. The empire was shaking, and the world was watching. When the feud finally hit the internet, major brands and collaborators froze anything tied to Birdman's roster. But Birdman, being the hustler he is, flipped the chaos into promo, using the drama to push Rich Gang releases and turning gossip clicks straight into streaming numbers. Still, when the smoke cleared, even though he kept control of Cash Money, his cultural respect was gone. Toni walked away with public sympathy and a whole new wave of attention, even if some folks still side-eyed her motives. But one thing's certain, that old Cash Money alliance is done for good. Now, when we talk money, the financial rituals behind Cash Money records have always been just as infamous as the hits. Jadakiss once joked about it live, and he wasn't lying. Birdman and Cash Money shaped the sound of Southern hip-hop, no doubt, but behind the glam and legacy was a cold business model that blurred the line between management and manipulation.
I never allowed none of the labels to own nothing. I own everything.
Universal.
No, Universal never owned nothing.
All those flashy cars, designer fits, and mansion photo shoots hid a deeper truth. A setup built to keep artists owing Birdman forever. Several names have said their advances never really showed up or came with recoupable debt clauses nobody explained. Even Lil Wayne's $10 million lawsuit pulled back the curtain. His teenage contract had one lawyer repping both him and the label. That's wild because it meant every deal was designed to tilt toward Birdman's empire, not the artist who built it. Lil Wayne's war with Cash Money back in 2017 went way deeper than anyone knew. His lawsuit accused Birdman and Universal of scheming behind the scenes, manipulating streams and publishing profits until Wayne was forced to settle for way less than he earned. It was betrayal dressed up in business suits. Just like Suge Knight did out west, Birdman had his own version of control in the East, throwing cars, jewelry, and flashy cash around like gifts, but really using them as shackles. It wasn't generosity, it was strategy to keep artists tied down long after their hits faded. Even the paperwork was a ritual. That 1998 Cash Money Universal deal changed the whole game, an 80-20 profit split favoring the label, setting up a playbook Birdman later used on every artist under his wing. Performers almost never owned their masters, and royalty statements were basically a myth. People like Wendy Day, one of the early deal makers, never saw the money they were promised. Birdman's infamous line, "Sue me, when I have to pay you, you'll get paid," became a cold industry punchline. Universal later stepped in, helping Cash Money cover its debts, but in return, they gained more control, flipping unpaid artist royalties into corporate power. Insiders now call that system ghost royalties. Money meant for artists that vanished into upper-level accounts nobody could trace. Loyalty got you Lambos, diamond chains, and front-row seats. But disobedience, that brought frozen albums, delayed checks, or quiet blacklisting. Still, the show never stopped. Helicopters, mansions, and that Stuna Island lifestyle kept the illusion alive. But by 2025, insiders said it plain. Cash Money had become a medieval label, ruling with contracts instead of swords. Birdman and Slim ran Cash Money like kings, sitting on thrones. Every move, every dollar, every artist bowed under their rule. Younger signees like Jacquees pledged lifelong loyalty, even though they barely had control over their own careers. These weren't spooky rituals. They were financial habits turned weapons, built to keep power in the hands of the few. Behind all that bling, it was always about control. That's when the cracks started showing. Some of the biggest names began moving behind Birdman's back, quietly, but loud enough for those who were really watching. By 2025, the Cash Money camp was bubbling with tension. Some artists flexed their independence, others stayed silent, but everybody had their own plan. Lil Wayne, who'd been sitting on years of bad blood, finally made it clear he was done playing nice. During the Hot Boys reunion tour, he and the crew straight up walked off stage mid-speech. Right while Birdman was hyping the crowd, the clip went viral instantly, and just weeks before at Lil Louisiana Fest 2025, Wayne had already embarrassed him, cutting Birdman off mid-intro while he was dedicating a moment to his mom, Ms. Gladys. Fans and insiders caught the message immediately. All that forgiveness from their 2018 truce? Gone. Those old wounds and old checks had come back to life. Wayne was reclaiming his space. No middleman, no more fake peace. Juvenile played it smoother, but still sent his message. During the Cash Money Millionaire's 30th anniversary tour, he called out Birdman's team for underpaying and sidelining Turk after money issues. He even admitted it put him in a tough spot, caught between staying loyal to Birdman and standing up for his day ones. It was loyalty versus conscience, and everyone saw it. By summer, Lil Wayne switched his focus. No more back and forth, just pure music. You could feel the shift in his energy. He was still loyal to the legacy, but no longer blinded by it. The message was clear. He'd play the game, but on his own terms now. Then came Drake, the ultimate strategist. Yeah, Kendrick once called him a snake, but let's be honest, Drake's always been 3 moves ahead. He didn't diss Birdman out loud, but behind the curtain, he was setting up power plays that spoke volumes. His 2025 lawsuit against Universal, Birdman's main distribution plug, wasn't personal, it was business chess. Everyone in the industry saw the move coming. Drake was breaking orbit from Cash Money, securing independence while keeping ties just tight enough to profit when he needed to. Meanwhile, Nicki Minaj kept things silent but sharp. Birdman bragged in interviews that Cash Money made over $2 billion off Wayne, Drake, and Nicki, claiming he paid them all handsomely. But Nicki never confirmed or denied it. Instead, she started dropping hits under her own imprint setups, not Birdman's. That was her quiet power move, keeping respect without catching any of the heat. By the end of 2025, the truth was plain. Birdman's big 3 weren't really his anymore. Wayne had walked away in front of cameras, Juvenile was playing diplomat, Drake was lawyering up, and Nicki was building her own empire. Together, they painted one clear picture. The Cash Money dynasty was falling apart, one boss move at a time. Loyalty only went so far, and by 2025, the artists under Cash Money were finally taking back their stories. Behind the scenes, whispers turned into full-on headlines, lawsuits, quiet exits, new alliances forming in the shadows. Everyone watching could feel it. One wrong move, and the entire Cash Money empire could collapse overnight. By mid-year, the labels, studios, and tours had turned into pure chaos. The tension wasn't behind closed doors anymore. It spilled out on social media, leaked clips, and even live events. Fans were loving the drama. Hip-hop thrives on conflict, and Cash Money was feeding that energy non-stop. Inside the studio, it was a battlefield. Birdman ran everything with an iron grip, controlling timelines, features, even which tracks saw daylight. If an artist didn't play by his rules, their whole album could vanish overnight. Leaked footage from sessions showed Lil Wayne and Birdman going back and forth, shouting over beats, royalties, and creative direction. It was messy, but Wayne wasn't folding this time. Meanwhile, Drake and Nicki Minaj kept their distance, moving like pros. They stayed productive but avoided the chaos completely, recording their verses remotely instead of stepping into Birdman's tight circle. Smart move. Keep the brand strong, skip the storm. But the tour scene was just as wild. The 2025 Cash Money Millionaires' 30th anniversary tour became a circus. Canceled shows, last-minute lineup swaps, and no-shows that left fans furious. What was once the symbol of unity had turned into a melting pot of egos, secrets, and rebellion, and the cameras caught everything. At least one major concert got canceled minutes before showtime. The official reason was scheduling issues, but everyone knew it was deeper than that. Rumors of internal beef and chaotic planning started flying fast, and fans saw it for what it was, another example of Birdman's tight-fisted control. Loyalty under him always came with strings attached, and when they did hit the stage, you could feel the tension in the air. During the Hot Boys segment, Lil Wayne straight up cut Birdman off mid-speech in front of thousands, refusing to let him finish. That was no accident. It was a public message that the brotherhood was dead and buried. Missed arrivals, last-minute lineup swaps, and side-eye moments kept fans guessing like they were watching a live reality show. Every post, every look, every mic drop became a coded signal, and the whole internet was decoding it. Even backstage, the fallout was real. Industry insiders said major sponsors were pulling back, scared of being attached to another messy Cash Money spectacle. But for die-hard fans, the chaos was part of the thrill. They analyzed every video clip, every lyric, every cryptic caption like detectives chasing clues. The studios, the tours, the tweets, it all blended into one massive show of ego, loyalty, and survival. Cash Money had turned its own breakdown into entertainment history, and everyone was tuned in. So, what do you think? Is Birdman holding it all together or watching it fall apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to Dripzine for more shocking deep dives and untold hip-hop stories.